All right, guys, welcome tonight. I have Ryan Hollingshead, that FC Dallas player. My name is Mahonri Mendoza. Very thankful for you to take this time and opportunity to talk with me, and talk to the fans and get to know the fans a little bit more. The fans get to know a little bit more about you and your personal side if they don't already know. So this is a perfect time for some questions and all that fun stuff. But other than that, thank you again for taking the time. Appreciate it here at Dallas Sports Fanatic, and I do so myself appreciate this. How are you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, hanging in there. Obviously, this time has just been crazy and unprecedented, but it's been good. A lot of good family time. I have two babies, young babies, and a third foster baby. And so we have a full house right now. Their ages are 3, 2, and 1. So we just got a ton going on, lots of changing diapers and spending time with my wife and spending time with the kids. So it's been good, but it's also been hard. I'm like just shocked at my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and her job is just so difficult. She's amazing at what she does. So I'm getting to live that with her right now and just understand what she goes through every day with the kiddos. And so it's been super helpful, and I just have so much respect for her. And it's been good family time, good time with the foster baby to get some concentrated time with him, and then good time with my babies as well, just to play and get good dad time.
Yeah, sweet deal. Yeah, I can definitely relate with the changing the diaper. I so myself have a little one too. We were just
Mhm.
actually putting him to bed not too
Yeah,
long ago.
yeah, same
So
here.
yeah, I can relate to changing the diapers, helping the wife give him a bath, change his diapers, change his clothes, bring me the
Yeah,
pacifier. It's crazy. I can't imagine how you do it with three.
yeah,
I'm struggling
it's
with just
great.
one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I try to help out as much as I possibly can, and take, bath time routine and take all the nighttime routines and stuff. And yeah, it's tough. She's really good.
Sweet. Well, definitely, as you know, COVID-19, the coronavirus, a lot of people stopped drinking Corona beers for some reason. Made a huge impact on the world. It's
Did
crazy.
it really? Did people stop drinking Corona beers?
I've I've heard some reports that they just simply because of the name they stopped drinking Corona beers.
No way. Wow. Okay.
And, that I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. So like obviously this virus canceled things, basically everything worldwide.
Mhm.
Obviously one of those things being the MLS, the Open Cup, just about any European championship, anything. So we're literally just stuck with doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what were your thoughts whenever you found out that the MLS had postponed the season?
Yeah, well, it just unraveled so quickly, right? It went from like no problem to everything shut down, no leaving your house. And it really changed once the NBA got their first case, and they were really the first ones to pull the plug. And then once they pulled the plug, I remember it was like a Thursday, right? We were about to travel to New York City.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was just like, there's no way we're traveling. If New York, or if the NBA is shutting down their entire league wide, there's no way we're going to travel and go play in New York City, especially because of the amount of cases that were in New York City at the time. So, yeah, I thought it was coming, but you still don't really know what to expect. So I thought maybe we'll stop for a week or maybe 2 weeks, and then things will kind of get back to normal. And it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. And the hardest thing as an athlete is trying to stay fit. Like, we don't have access to any of our equipment. We don't have access to any of our fields or anything. And so, I'm like, do I go just play like juggle by myself on the local park field? And it's hard, right? It's hard to motivate yourself. It's hard to you can't really find a clean surface to really play on. So it's been tough, man. But trying to stay fit possible, out, because we know that when the shelter in place gets lifted, we need to be ready to go right away. So we're still very optimistic we'll get a good chunk of the season in. But yeah, it means we have to be fit, and that means when the shelter in place gets lifted, that we're ready to go right away.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know Lucci, he released a video a couple of days ago about how he's implementing some, at home trainings and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Has that been like impactful for you guys, especially for you? I mean, has it made a difference to what you were doing to trying to stay fit?
Yeah, I'm naturally a pretty fit guy and I'm pretty driven. So I have like I'm able to get myself going and make sure that I'm running every day, make sure I'm doing intense workouts and lifting and that sort of stuff. But that's not the same for everybody. For a lot of people, it takes more motivation or it takes coaches following up with you. And so we have a full-time fitness athletic trainer who's been sending out daily videos of entire workouts to do, ranging from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, like really intense training videos. And so we've been doing that for the most part. Some guys do that like verbatim. They do everything in there and they follow it perfectly. Some guys use it as like a guide and kind of figure out what they want to do or tweak things for their own body.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like you're trying to get everybody in all these different, life stages and walks of life to adhere to the same sort of workout routine. And so for me, as one of the veterans on the team with 3 kiddos, my day looks a lot different than some of these like 17-year-olds who are single and at home and, playing video games all day. Like my days are really, really long. I have kids, all over me at all times. And so I'm up at 6 a.m. and by the time I get them in bed at 7:30 and I'm ready to go to bed myself. And some of these other kids are just sitting around and, eating pizza and playing video games all day. And so you're trying to you're trying to fill that void, and you're trying to get these guys running and working out and moving so they're not just sitting all day. But our team is really motivated. We have a really special group. We have guys that are really bought into what we're doing and really bought into what we believe the season can be, even though that we've lost a lot of the season, bought into just kind of how good we can be. And so guys have been really good sticking with the plans and with the workout plans and making sure they're fit when we return to play.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's a different type of schedule if you try to fit everybody to doing one single thing. As you
Yeah.
explained, you got your 3 kiddos, then you might have somebody who, like Brandon, for example, he's like 19, 20 years old,
Yeah.
maybe playing video games, wakes up at 9, 10. I don't know. Don't take me on.
No,
Me on.
that's right. For a lot of them, yes. For a lot of them, that's right.
I would
Yeah.
be doing that if I was him. I would be waking up
Totally.
at 10 in the morning,
Yeah.
just not doing exactly
Yeah.
anything up on
Yeah.
my Netflix series or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're all, playing video games and binge watching Netflix and shows. And I'm like, we've been on quarantine for 3 weeks. I have not watched one single show. I
Wow.
don't even own a video game console. Like I don't have the time for that. But so you have to play to both of those. You have to play to the veterans and you have to play to the youngsters and make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to staying fit.
Oh yeah, definitely. So like, other than that, like, uh, with staying fit and something like that, what are some complications? I know you mentioned the kids and all that stuff, but is there anything else that could be potentially like complicating your workouts and all that stuff?
Yeah, the biggest thing is not having the equipment, right? So I'm running in my neighborhood and running down the street, and I'm like trying to mark out, like there's not even track. I went to there's a local high school near where I live, and I went to try to run on the track, but the gates are all locked around the track, so you can't run on it. So, I'm trying to do interval training, but I don't really know how long a 400 is. I don't really know how long an 800 is. And so I'm just kind of guessing and looking at my watch and trying to time it and trying to get the right measurements down. But yeah, man, it's just so difficult. So you have to have a lot of grace with yourself and realize like it's not going to be perfect, but you also have to work hard. And so I've been running a lot, running in my neighborhood a lot. I don't have weights at home. And so I'm, doing a lot of push-ups and body weight stuff. And so just making do. But in order to get the same workout when you don't have weights, you're doing like hundreds of push-ups. And so it just takes a long time, and it's just kind of frustrating. But
Yeah.
all that to say, those are easy, in terms of all that's going on, that being my biggest problem. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky to have, a lack of workout equipment being my biggest problem is I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So obviously the season is, I guess, this is my thinking of how it could turn out. Like they're probably just gonna jam everything in a few months' time. Obviously, you guys got 32 more games to play technically still, so jamming all of those games in like 4 or 5 months, that could be very extensive. It's like asking a whole Bundesliga season in 5 months. It's crazy. It's it's going to be hard. Do you think that there's some complications to that? Obviously, there might be some injuries, but do you think there's something that could potentially hurt you guys with that?
That's really interesting, and I don't know exactly what they're doing or how they're going to restructure the schedule. But if you're trying to fit in all 32 games and trying to play, every week you have a midweek game, it would just be different. But leagues do that. Some of the bigger leagues that are playing in Champions League and some of these, where they have European qualifiers and they're playing international. Like some of these guys are playing, 60 games a year when you count everything up, and so it's not too crazy to think about adding a midweek game each week. It would just mean if we did that we would lower the load of training every week and make sure that we are just putting kind of that game fitness on games, and then the rest of the days trainings would be really light. So that's a very much a possibility. The other thing I've heard them throwing around is maybe just doing like Western Conference teams only playing Western Conference teams, Eastern Conference teams only playing Eastern Conference, and then kind of having that be season. And so cutting out all the out of conference games. I've heard so many things get thrown around of what they could potentially do. But I would say we're going to have to definitely be ready to roll with the punches. It could be anything. And I don't think having all those midweek games is too far out of the question. I think we could do it. It would be hard on our bodies because we haven't done it before, but some of the elite footballers in the world are doing that year in and year out. And so it's definitely doable, and we could do it.
Especially with travels. I mean, there's times where you guys have like a game away on the road, then you have another game on the road. Imagine just adding a third one on the road in between those 3 games. It's extensive. It's tiring to travel around.
Yeah, that's the hardest part because of how spread out the U.S. is, and with Canadian teams in the league, our travel is just so much longer than, European travel or these other countries. And so that definitely takes a toll on your body, but we would, hopefully be able to charter flights and make it easier on our bodies as much as possible. But it's going to be interesting. I'm really intrigued to see how they structure the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, definitely. So obviously when the season starts, obviously everybody has to pace back up, and obviously you guys are 1-1, 2 great games at home, a win for the start for the home opener, a last minute tie, which felt like a win against Montreal. Just everybody was so ecstatic, was so energetic at the field, that you guys made seem like you guys were connected as a team. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to this season?
Yeah, I think our group has a lot of belief. I think our guys are really excited about this season. Now, obviously, this throws a wrinkle in it, but I think the guys have a lot of belief in what we can do. We think we've got the pieces to really be a special team this year. As much as we can, as much as possible, we've been trying to stay in contact and, hop on team Zoom calls and do like team workout videos together, which has been hilarious and funny to get everybody on those Zoom calls. But you have to try to maintain that camaraderie. The guys just really enjoy each other. We like being around each other. And so as much as we can, we're trying to keep those things going. But yeah, we're excited for the season. We're all just like crossing our fingers that this ends quickly and we can get back to playing. And, it's so much out of our control. We're praying for that to happen and trusting that it will. But in the end, we just have no control over it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just a waiting game. It's a chess game. Definitely. Were there any rivals that you were looking forward to play against this season?
Yeah, always the Houston rival, right? That's our biggest rival. But I think on top of that, like we were ready to just make a good run in the U.S. Open Cup. We were ready to push hard in the Western Conference and get a home playoff game in the Western Conference. And so more than just like one team that we were really excited to go after, it was like we wanted to put the pieces together throughout the entire season. We wanted to be a team that was consistent throughout the season and was constantly gaining points throughout the season and not going through like these big spurts of, wins and 5 losses in a row or 5 wins and a couple ties and losses, but just a consistent winning games, getting points, picking things up.
Sweet. No, yeah, definitely. I know you and I, we had a conversation a little bit before ago. You were excited to go out and face Inter Miami. How's that? Like, I know you guys were supposed to be playing them, I don't know, like mid-June, I believe is what the schedule said. Obviously, that's not happening anytime soon. Or maybe they start back up like through the calendar year and just throw the rest of the games in between. Um, are you excited to see go see Victor, go meet the stadium, and just play out there your game?
Yeah, they're an exciting team. I feel like there's a lot of intrigue around them because of Beckham coming into the league and finally getting his MLS team. And they've got just like a kind of a hipster kind of swag to their gear and their colors, and just everything about them is like trendy and cool. So it sounds, I mean, it seems like it'd be fun to go to Miami and see their new stadium. I mean, they popped up like a 20,000 seat stadium in 3 months or something. So that sort of stuff is exciting. But we did get to play them in preseason. We got to scrimmage against them, and so we've seen a little bit of what they have. But again, like those sorts of things, I don't know that we'll even go to Miami now with everything that's happening. But we are, we're like those one-off games. We're more focused on just the whole season, like putting everything together across 32 games or however many games we're going to have now, rather than like one team that I'm super focused on. But I'll definitely be following along, watching what Miami does this season, just because of that intrigue to see how they can do. I don't know that they're going to be great their first year. It's hard for expansion teams to come in and do well at first, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's obviously, yeah, there's a lot of things that we've seen it in the past. Expansion teams kind of have a difficult, they're a little bit difficult trying to adapt to what MLS brings. Obviously, they may have the USL in the past, they have that sort of experience, but nothing that levels up to the MLS. Atlanta did a great job with it. Obviously, they've already been crowned MLS champions. You guys were Supporter Shield winners in 2016, U.S. Open Cup winners in 2016. There's a lot of goals throughout the years and throughout the season and how the season has to adapt and all that stuff. What were you guys last year? You guys got eliminated, unfortunately, in the playoffs against Seattle, who then became champions. It was a crazy game. It was back and forth game. It could have been anybody's game. In the end, it was Seattle's. What are you guys looking forward to do differently this season once everything picks back up than what you did last year?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things to build off last year. You watch our game, that playoff game against Seattle, and I think if you're a neutral party, an unbiased party, you would look at that game and think that FC Dallas should have won it in terms of shots created, chances created, amount of possession really dictated the style of play. So a lot of good things, and a lot of those pieces from last year we have coming back and returning for this year. And so I think that's part of the reason there's a lot of belief in this group is we looked at what we did last year and we were so very close to beating the team that won it all. And so we know that if we can build off of that and start this season where we left off at last season and build from there, that we can be a real difficult team to handle.
Yeah, no, definitely. As we saw, yeah, as you mentioned, FC Dallas, it was FC Dallas game. It was, during the game, it was crazy because there's all sorts of emotions going on. Everyone was like, getting goal. There's like a goal. There's a goal here. There's a goal. It was like Oprah handing out goals to everybody,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy what happens in a soccer game, especially here in the MLS. It's so unpredictable. Not anybody can beat anybody. That's honestly one of the things what I like about the MLS. There's really not clear dominant, but there are some consistent teams, and obviously FC Dallas as one of those consistent teams. FC Dallas are always doing everything good. You guys are always trying to work hard and improve your game in and game out. So now imagine this scenario. Imagine if FC Dallas didn't exist. Where would you see yourself playing, or where would you like to play at?
So if FC Dallas didn't exist, where would I want to play?
Yeah, where would you see yourself playing now, or where would you like to play?
All right, I'll give you two answers. The first one is out of the MLS. I have always always had the desire to play somewhere else, and playing in Japan would be so much fun.
Oh,
I've dreamt of that before, and just talked with guys who have had experiences in Japan, and heard that the country is amazing. My brother grew up speaking Japanese, and so I've always thought that would be a ton of fun, and to take the kids there and to like live in a different culture for a little bit would be an amazing experience. And so Japan, it would be interesting. But if I was going to stay in the MLS, I would want to go somewhere on the West Coast, probably like a Seattle or a San Jose, just because they're close to family. All of my wife's family lives in Seattle, and then all of my family lives in Sacramento, so Northern California. And then actually my wife and I both went to school down in LA. So going to an LA team where a lot of our friends are would be awesome too. Somewhere on the West Coast, but mostly just because we could be closer to family.
yeah, no, definitely. Any team specific in the Japanese league? Do you follow the Japanese league?
No, I don't follow the Japanese league well, and I obviously have never really looked into trying to go there. But more just talked about it and dreamt about it, and thought like playing in a different culture, playing in a different different setup. And so I started thinking what would be a fun culture to experience, and people have spoken highly of the Japanese culture. And so I thought that would be a really cool experience, and really cool for, my kids and my wife to experience something different as well. And if soccer could take us there and allow us to have that opportunity, it'd be cool. But, we haven't really explored that or looked into it, but just a dream.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Iniesta's still playing around in Vissel Kobe, so there's that.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, once the game ends, everybody's finished discussing against each other. It's like, oh yeah, screw you, type of deal.
Yeah.
The players swap jerseys at the very end of the game. Have you swapped any jerseys? And what's been one of the most special jerseys that you've been able to swap out for?
Yeah. So, jerseys are tough because you're like, I don't want to be that guy that just runs up to this star athlete and tries to get his jersey or whatever. Some of these bigger names that have been brought in as DPs, they're always getting asked for jerseys. And so I haven't done too much of that. What I usually change jerseys or exchange jerseys are my good buddies that I grew up playing with, maybe in college or even before college, who have also become pros. Those are usually who I exchange with. So I have a couple good buddies who I was really close with at UCLA when I was playing there, and who are now professional. And so swapping jerseys with them is a really special moment, because it was like, man, we were both in it together in college, and now we're both here. And it's a cool success story, and also just wishing the best for them. So I've got a little stack of jerseys of old teammates, old buddies that I used to play with that now are pro with me.
Sweet. No, definitely. Yeah, I've seen people like definitely running off to the biggest stars. It's and we see it all the time in European teams. Like they go and face somebody here in the U.S. One of them is running towards them. It's like, hey, again, you can see it on we're like, yeah, the jersey. And like, okay, later. They're expecting it, and obviously, your experience is a little bit different when it comes to swapping jerseys. You have that special connection with the player who you're wanting to switch out the jersey for, and that's really awesome. You don't really get to hear that as much. Because players, they have a buddy who they used to be teammates at another team. It's like, hey, let's swap jerseys type of deal. And it's a really cool experience to get that side of the story from the players themselves.
It is cool.
So I know there was a video released, and you've said it a couple of times by FC Dallas, that one of your most favorite goals was against Montreal. Because of the game, you guys came back to turn it around. It was just a great game on the road against a really tough team, at home. What's been one of the most remarkable goals of your career?
Yeah, so that's one of them. Just because of the moment of it, the emotion of it, coming back, clawing our way back from that 3-3 or 3-0 deficit to tie it up 3-3 with that goal was very special. There was a goal that I scored in college, Final Four. That was probably one of the best goals I had scored up until that point in my life, and it was on Sports Center before I was professional, before anything had happened. It was on Sports Center as the top play, and I thought that was like the coolest thing. So that goal always will be so special to me, because that was a moment of like just some some college kids, some college scrubs scoring a goal and getting on Sports Center top plays. Let me think of another one. Oh, I also scored a PK in a PK shootout against Seattle in 2015, and just like chipped it down the middle, and that was special. Those ones are always so fun to score because we won that in PKs and moved on to the next round in playoffs. And yeah, those are probably three of my. I don't even know how many goals I've scored professionally. Maybe like 12 or something. And think of the one of those goals, Montreal is probably the most emotional.
Yeah, sweet, nice. Yeah, no, definitely. When it comes to being a defender, I play defender. I play defense. I kind of play your similar role. Obviously, I'm not as fast, and I'm sitting at a desk most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I can beat you on a 1v1 race.
Yeah.
But I can tell, like, I know kind of what my role is as a defender. I have to run up down the field, help the offense, and come back to do it as the defense.
Yes.
It's a workout. It's a workout for sure. But it's crazy. As defenders, we don't really get to score as many goals. Maybe in a corner, a header, that happens to go, and it's like, or you just get lucky if we found it off of you. So I can relate when it comes to not scoring that many goals. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not
Totally.
score, I can help defend.
Yeah.
So we were talking about jerseys just a minute ago. What's been one of your most favorite FC Dallas Burn jerseys, and why?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't even honestly remember. They're all so similar. I love, so when I first started, which was a while ago, right? 7 years ago, they had the big old Advocare signs on the front, and those jerseys were so ugly. So the moment we moved away from that to what you're wearing with the just like clean, sleek Advocare instead of the big old circle thing around the Advocare, that was a big move because Advocare used to just usurp our entire jersey. But now it's more low key. That was a big move. I like the jersey you're wearing. I like our alternate kit. We have a white and blue kit that had stars on it one year. That was a cool jersey just because it was different.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got away from the hoops on our home kit one year, but otherwise every other kit is a hoops kit. I like our kits this year. New jerseys are pretty sweet. I don't know. That's a tough question. I guess I would say if I had to choose, I would say the away kit that has stars on it. I guess that's different.
It was called or referenced like Dallas at Night or something like that. I know they made a topic about it.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years ago technically when I released it. Something like that. What do you think about MLS and Adidas partnership when it comes to jerseys? Like 1 year, everybody has all these kit releases, and then you have to stick with it for another year, and you have another one. Does that kind of bother you guys, or what do you think about that?
It doesn't bother me at all. And for me, I'm like so focused on just the league continuing to go forward. And I think Adidas has played a big part in that, in their sponsorship and their kind of teaming up with the MLS and making it kind of what it has become. I know that Adidas plays a big role in that. And so for those little things, I'm just so grateful that the league has grown the way it has grown and has become a top 4 league now in the US. And that for me is like what I'm excited about. And so those little things don't bother me as much. If Adidas is going to do a funny jersey thing where we have to keep our jerseys for 2 years before we can bring another one, and some teams like have to meet certain criteria to be able to introduce a secondary jersey. It's like, it's weird. You have to sell a certain amount of jerseys. So classic Dallas, we don't get any of those extra kits, So there's some frustrating things about it. But in the end, if I really step back and look at it, I'm like, no, I don't really care about those little details as long as the league is getting projected forward and as long as Adidas is helping be a part of that, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's a few more teams coming in the next few years. Are you one of those teams being Austin FC? Are you excited to face them? You'll get a shorter trip rather than going all the way down to Houston.
Yes, I'm excited about Austin. Austin's an amazing city. My wife and I have only been there once, but when we went, we just had the best time and just really enjoyed the culture there and the city there. So I think it's going to be awesome for Austin to have a team. They also don't have other professional sports teams there, and so I think the city's really going to get behind them. Yeah, it makes our drive a little bit shorter. But yeah, I mean, again, these expansion teams coming in and paying big sums of money to join into the league, it just shows what's happening with our league and how much it's growing and developing. And so every time an expansion team comes in, I'm really happy for it and
Yeah.
proud to be a part of what this league is doing, honestly. So Austin's just another one of those teams that's going to be great. It's cool to have another team in Texas. Yeah, they're going to be a fun city.
Yeah, definitely. And there would be like a three-way rivalry between Houston, Dallas, Austin,
Yeah.
all in between. You just
Yes. That'd
need
be
to add
sweet.
San Antonio in the middle, and you got all four there.
Yeah. That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet.
So who knows? San Antonio maybe in the future years.
Maybe. Yep.
Yeah. So one last question before we finish this call. Before that way you can go to bed. I know you woke up early. You told me so yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta go work tomorrow. What's your all-time 11?
Oh, oh man, wow, that's a tough question. I don't know that I can give you a full 11 right off the top of my head. Let me give you a couple of players that I just love that I think are special players. First, up top,
Yeah.
my boy Steven Lenhart, uh, old timer for the San Jose Earthquakes. He's like just he's he's one of the funniest players I've ever watched play soccer and was very talented, very good, really good producer, scored a lot of goals. But more than anything, the guy was just crazy. Like awesome celebrations, would put his head anywhere to get on the end of a cross or a flick or anything. I've never seen a guy get so many cuts in a game. His little brother is my best friend. So it was fun before I was even a professional watching Steven play and watching him be as silly and crazy as he was. So he's got to be up there for me as a forward. If I'm being serious, like Josef Martinez has to be up there because he's just been so dominant in this league and scored goals at such a, uh, I mean, crazy rate. Like it's been remarkable how many goals that guy has scored, and he's been consistent with it. It's not like a one-off thing, but he's been so consistent throughout the year. So he's got to be in there somewhere. Um, I thought when Giovinco was in the league as a number 10, he was kind of that first number 10 that I played against that was just different. And now we've got Vela and some other guys who have come in, and now bringing in those big time number 10s is a little bit more usual. But when Giovinco was in Toronto, they had Giovinco, Altidore, and Bradley, and it was just they had something special going there, and Giovinco was a big part of that. Almiron, I think when Almiron was playing for Atlanta United, he was an insanely gifted player and was so much a part of what Josef Martinez was doing. So I think Almiron would be in there somewhere. Man, who to say from my back four? It's really tough. Really tough. Goalie. Who's the best goalie I've played against? I would say I loved playing with Chris Seitz. He's one of my best buds, and just loved playing with him when he was here. So he would get a look at that position for sure. I think at times, like like a guy like Andre Blake has been so good, and has like some amazing reaction saves. And it's like it's hard to put this all together on the top of my head. I'd have to think about it a little bit more and give you some real thoughts to get you
Yeah.
my all 11. It's just a lot of guys. Trying to think if there's anybody else that I think Beckham has to be in there just because of what he did for the league. Like he was so influential in terms of getting the league on the map, really MLS to where it is today. So he's got to be in there. although he wasn't playing at his best when he was here, he wasn't playing at the most elite level, but he was still playing well and producing. But
Yeah.
man, he's just meant so much to the MLS and so much to this league. So he's got to be in there somewhere. Anyway, that's a handful of guys. I don't know the full 11, but that'll suffice.
Yeah, no, yeah, you got really good names down there for sure. You got Linhart, Joseph Martinez, Gio, Almiron. All of them have had European experiences. Definitely Beckham had European experience. Obviously, that's where he was from. That's where he's
Yeah.
from, and that's where
Yeah.
he's got to know. So, but yeah, definitely. Thank you again, Ryan, for doing this, taking the time out of your day to do this with me. And I'm grateful for it, for getting to know you a little bit better, having this one-on-one with you. Anything that you have to say for the fans and for everybody who might be listening?
No, guys, just keep going. We're gonna get through this coronavirus stuff. We'll be back soon. Just know that all the guys are putting in the work, and we'll be ready to go when everything gets going. Mo, thanks for putting this on, man. I appreciate you.
Sweet, and definitely buy toilet paper.
Yeah, get as much toilet paper as you can. What else? Like formula, man. We've been struggling finding formula for kiddos. Anyway, get it all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, again. Appreciate this for you, and obviously wish the best for you and your family. And obviously we'll hope to see you soon back at the field.
Sounds good, Mo. See you soon.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.